Jerusalem, the city that moved God and the world. There are places on earth that are more than cities. They are symbols, crossroads of faith, hope, and history. And none has seen more tears, prayers, and wars than Jerusalem. For nearly 5,000 years, this city has risen from the hills of Judea. It began as a small village by a spring and became the stage for the world's greatest stories. For Jews, Christians, and Muslims, it is sacred. For the world, it is eternal conflict and eternal faith. Throughout history, Jerusalem has changed hands more than 40 times. Kings, prophets, and conquerors have all claimed it. And even today, the echoes of their battles still linger. Jerusalem's story begins around 3000 BCE, with the Canaanite fortress built near the Gihon Spring. By 1000 BCE, King David had conquered it and made it the capital of Israel. His son Solomon built the first temple, a place meant to bridge heaven and earth. Jerusalem became the heart of Judaism. But the city lay between empires, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, and was repeatedly invaded. In 607 BCE, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon conquered Jerusalem, destroyed the temple and the city. The conquerors then exiled all the inhabitants to Babylon. When the Persians under Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon in 539 BCE, Cyrus allowed Nehemiah to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. And in 537 BCE, the Israelites followed, returned to their land. Only a few quiet years followed before the next conqueror stood at the gates of Jerusalem. 332 BCE came Alexander the Great. Then the Romans arrived and took over Jerusalem in 70 AD by conquering the city. They were led by Titus, who ended the First Jewish War. Even earlier, in 63 BC, the Roman general Pompey had conquered Judea, leading to early Roman supremacy. Under King Herod, Jerusalem was grand, but in its narrow streets, a new faith was born: Christianity. Here, Jesus preached, died, and rose again. And from here, his followers carried his message to the world. When the Romans destroyed the temple again in 70 CE, only one wall remained, the Western Wall, a sacred symbol that endures to this day. With Emperor Constantine's conversion, Jerusalem became the heart of Christianity. His mother Helena built the Church of the Holy Sepulchre at the site of Christ's crucifixion. Centuries later, a new faith emerged: Islam. In 638 CE, Caliph Umar captured the city and allowed Jews and Christians to live and worship freely. On the Temple Mount rose the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, sacred symbols of Islam's bond with Jerusalem. Three faiths, one city, and the struggle for it would never end. In the 11th century, the Crusaders came from Europe. They captured Jerusalem and unleashed a massacre. A century later, Saladin took it back for Islam. From then on, Jerusalem passed through many hands: Byzantines, Mamluks, Ottomans, each leaving behind a piece of its soul. Under the Ottomans, the city finally found peace for a time. Churches, synagogues, and mosques stood side by side. Then, in the end of the 19th century, Jewish immigrants returned, and the dream of a new homeland took root once more. During World War I, the British seized the city, promising both Jews and Arabs a nation. It was a promise that would ignite decades of conflict.
In 1984, May 14, David Ben-Gurion proclaimed the State of Israel on the radio and to his fellow Zionists.
But Jerusalem was still divided, west to Israel, east to Jordan. Once again, faith and politics collided on sacred ground. In 1948, after almost 2,000 years in exile, Israel was reborn, a nation rising from the ashes of history. But almost as soon as the state was founded, a new struggle for survival began. In the decades that followed, wars came like breaths. 1948, the War of Independence. 1967, the Six-Day War. 1973, the Yom Kippur War. Again and again, Israel's neighbors attacked this young nation, and again, Israel endured. But the wounds never truly healed. Conflicts, attacks, fear and hope stretched across generations. People lived in the constant tension between peace and peril, between memory and hope. A turning point came in 2018 when the United States moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem under President Donald Trump. It was seen as a symbolic act that reshaped power dynamics in the Middle East. While Israel celebrated it as historic recognition, many Arab nations viewed it as a provocation. At the same time, it triggered a chain reaction of diplomatic realignments that led to the Abraham Accords, a strategic yet fragile rapprochement between Israel and several Arab countries. Then came October 7, 2023, a day that burned itself into Israel's collective memory. Militants of Hamas launched a brutal assault that shocked the world. Over 1,000 people, mostly Jews, were murdered, the deadliest attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Since that day, Israel once again stands in the storm. Its defense, its grief, its anger, and its choices are seen, judged, and condemned by the world. The signs point to a great trial, not only for Israel, but for all of us. For the ancient writings say, the story of Jerusalem is a mirror for the hearts of humankind. Many ask, why Israel? Why Jerusalem? Was this land chosen as God's favorite child? But the old scriptures tell another story. They say Israel was chosen not because it was perfect, but because it was human, stubborn, searching, and full of contradiction. God did not choose the easiest people. He chose the hardest, not those who are simple to love, but those through whom love must be proven. Perhaps to show that His patience is greater than our pride. Today, Jerusalem remains a city that unites and divides, a place where heaven and earth, faith and power, hope and heartbreak meet. And yet something endured, something stronger than armies or conquerors, longing. The longing for peace, for the divine, for home. And maybe that is the true meaning of this story, that this land tests us all, whether we can still love when love seems impossible, whether we can still hope when all seems lost, and whether we can see that peace does not begin where everyone agrees, but where people, despite everything, still reach out their hands to one another. Today, in the 21st century, people of all faiths live here, bringing their children to school, buying bread, laughing, loving. Sometimes their eyes meet, and perhaps just for a moment, they remember that this city was once a symbol of hope, for everyone. Jerusalem, the city that never forgets, the city that weeps and prays, fights and dreams. A place where time itself seems to pause, and where everyone who enters feels a touch of eternity. The city between heaven and earth.